Chapter 71. Destroy the Nest. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translator. Nyo-i.bo Studio Editor. Nyo-i.bo Studio. Swarms of black stingers flew in and out the nest, and there were at least tens of thousands of them, filling Han Sen and Lu Weinan with dread. Big brother, you do not mean to kill all these hornets, do you? Looks like they are all primitive creatures. There are so many of them and they can fly. It'd be hard for us to get out safely, Lu Weinan swallowed and said. Han Sen was happy to see the towering old trees and the flowers on the ground. He thought, the poster did not lie. There is indeed such a place. After watching for a while, Han Sen said to Lu Weinan, let's go farther. Lu Weinan had to follow Han Senator. They didn't dare to approach the nests, so they flied high in the sky. The flower field was dozens of miles long and there were tall trees everywhere. There was a huge hornet nest on almost every tree. No one knew how many black stingers there were in this area. It was scary just to think about it. Soon after, Han Sen saw a giant tree that was more than twice as tall as the others. The hornet nest on this giant tree was the size of a castle, and there were scarlet black stingers the size of a pigeon flying in and out from time to time. Lu Weinan looked at the nest eagerly and said, are those scarlet hornets all mutant creatures? How many of them must there be? Han Sen was also a bit dumbfounded. The poster said he had seen one. Although Han Sen had guessed there should be more than one, he didn't predict that there would be a whole nest of them. There must be a beast soul among so many mutant black stingers. Han Sen was excited, realizing it was difficult to handle so many mutant black stingers at the same time. The needle of the mutant black stinger was blood-red and at least 2 inches long. It looked very sharp as well. No one could resist the poison on it if stinged. After all, they were mutant creatures. Han Sen didn't want to depend on his sacred blood armor completely. Once the armor was pierced, he would be risking his life. The only fortunate fact was that the closest primitive hornet nest was a mile away, so the primitive black stingers didn't dare to get too close to this area. Comrade Lu, it's time to test your loyalty. Han Sen patted Lu Weinan on the shoulder. Lu Weinan suddenly changed his expression. Big brother, you do not want me to lure the mutant black stingers away, right? I will die. Do not be so pessimistic. Well, you do not really need to go there yourself. Just use your iron-feathered bird to attract their attention and I'll use that opportunity to ruin their nest. When the mutant hornets run wild and scatter around, we could just kill some of the single ones. Han Sen said with a smile. Han Sen said before Lu Weinan could say anything, do a good job, and I will give you 2 mutant hornets when the plan goes through. Think about it, boy. In order to keep Lu Weinan in line, Han Sen promised him the reward first. Lu Weinan suddenly swallowed the reply he had, patted his chest and said, it's my honor to risk everything for you. Tell me what to do, big brother. 2 mutant hornets could gain him quite a few mutant geno points. Very good, I am seeing great things in you. You are responsible for directing your iron-feathered bird to poke at the nest and attract most hornets away. But don't let the bird fly too high. If the hornets couldn't follow, they would return to the nest. Try to keep them away as long as possible, and I'll take care of the rest, Han Sen said. Lu Weinan looked surprisedly at Han Sen. Even if I can get most of the hornets away from the nest, there are certainly some remaining inside. Are you gonna be fine walking over like this? Lu Weinan did not expect that Han Sen would risk approaching the nest himself, which was far more dangerous than his part. He wasn't in direct danger by using the iron-feathered bird to lure hornets away. If things got bad, he could also take the beast soul bird back. The fortress-like hornet nest was connected to the tree trunk, and it wouldn't be easy to take down. I have a plan. Just buy me some time and do not let those hornets come back too fast, Han Sen said calmly. As long as the majority of mutant black stingers were lured away, he wasn't afraid of a dozen that might still be in the nest. Will do. Lu Weinan hid behind a boulder with Han Sen and commanded his iron-feathered bird to seize a large stone with its claws and flew above the nest. Bang! The iron-feathered bird dropped the stone at the nest and the 3-foot-long stone made a big hole in the nest. With a buzzing sound, mutant black stingers rushed out from the nest madly toward the iron-feathered bird like a scarlet cloud. Lu Weinan quickly commanded the iron-feathered bird to lead the mutant black stingers away. Han Sen was watching the nest closely all the time and saw almost no mutant black stingers around the nest. When the mutant black stingers were led dozens of yards away, Han Sen suddenly summoned the beast souls of the purple-winged dragon and bloody slayer. With the mutant sawfish spear in hand, he flew toward the nest, looking like a winged centaur warrior from the myth. Almost just in the blink of an eye, Han Sen threw himself at the nest, breaking the nest badly. Swinging the spear into a storm, he tore the nest apart as if it were made of paper. Some mutant black stingers were trying to attack him, but were all killed with the spear in a short while. None could stop him. There was a mutant black stinger that approached him, and its sting didn't even pierce his armor, leaving only a small white mark on it. Lu Weinan was shocked. He knew Han Sen was strong but didn't realize Han Sen had such great shape-shifting beast soul. When the better half of the huge hornet nest had been destroyed by Han Sen, a hornet twice the size of a mutant one flew out, its whole body transparent as red crystal. The moment this biggest hornet flew out, all the mutant hornets that were lured away by the bird all flew back to the nest, as if they could feel something. Be careful. The hornets are all back. That may be their queen. Lu Weinan roared. Chapter 72. Hunting Frenzy. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translator. Nyo Iwo Studio Editor. Nyo Iwo Studio. Lu Weinan's heart was trembling. The swarm was only about 600 feet from Han Senator. With the speed of the hornets, they could make it back in seconds. In addition, the Queen Hornet, which could be sacred. Blood, was eyeing Han Senator. His situation was critical. Looking at the Queen Hornet flying over, Han Sen narrowed his eyes, stepped back and threw the mutant sawfish spear at it. The queen was too fast and dodged the spear at a short distance. L.C. When Lu Weinan was lamenting the loss, Han Sen's majestic golden figure had rushed to face the queen, hacking a gleaming katana at the Queen Hornet. That katana was so swift that even the sacred. Blood Queen Hornet couldn't dodge it and was cut into halves by Han Sr. Sacred. Blood Black Stinger killed. No beast soul gained. Eat its meat to gain 0 to 10 sacred geno points randomly. With that wonderful voice, Han Sen rocketed into the sky without any pause. The swarm chased Han Sen into the sky, but could not to catch up with him or fly any higher than half a mile above the ground. Han Sen turned beautifully and made a big circle before he returned to the side of Lu Weinan. Lu Weinan was very impressed. From destroying the hornet nest to killing the queen to getting rid of the swarm, Han Sen's movements were so smooth and clean that he felt like he was watching an action movie. Awesome, really awesome. Lu Weinan gave Han Sen a thumbs up. He was sincere. Just my routine. Han Sen laughed but kept his eyes on the swarm. He didn't have the time to get the body of the Queen Hornet out, but it was fine. The nest was destroyed and the queen was killed. These hornets would go through a chaotic phase, which would be Han Sen's best opportunity. Sure enough, after suffering major blows, the swarm was a mess. Many mutant black stingers had left the swarm. You continue to harass the swarm with your iron-feathered bird, and I will go hunt the single black stingers. Han Sen flapped his wings and approached a mutant black stinger flying away from the swarm. Although his shape-shifting time was up, Han Sen was still able to use Blade Storm with the Shura Katana to kill the mutant black stinger. Just now he was only able to kill the sacred. Blood Black Stinger with one blow because he used the strength of Blade Storm to cut on its fragile waist. Mutant Black Stinger killed. No beast soul gained. Eat its meat to gain 0 to 10 mutant geno points randomly. Although he hadn't gained a beast soul yet, Han Sen was not worried at all, as there were at least thousands of mutant black stingers here and he would surely get a beast soul sooner or later. Taking the dead black stingers back, Han Sen directly gave them to Lu Weinan. He didn't want to bother preparing the body. As the black stingers were poisonous, only parts of the body were edible and the rest had to be removed. Although it was nothing difficult, it was quite troublesome. Han Sen continued to fly out to kill more single black stingers. With the collaboration with Lu, Han Sen hunted more than 20 black stingers in a day. The only pity was that Han Sen still did not get a beast soul. Han Sen was not in a hurry. The iron-feathered bird was constantly harassing the hornets, which made it difficult for them to rebuild their nest. The two men had enough time to hunt. For several days, Han Sen had been hunting mutant black stingers. On the fourth day, he finally heard the voice saying, "Mutant black stinger killed. Beast soul of mutant black stinger gained. Eat its meat to gain 0 to 10 mutant geno points randomly." Finally. Han Sen thought in ecstasy, though not showing it on his face or summoning the black stinger beast soul. He did not want others to see Dollar shooting arrows and thus connect Han Sen with Dollar. These mutant black stingers are quite enough. We could not carry more anyway. On the fifth day, Han Sen had hunted nearly 80 mutant black stingers. Han Sen gave Lu Weinan the 2 mutant black stingers he had promised. Lu used the bird to lure the swarm away several times and had done a good job. Han Sen was quite satisfied. Great. Lu Weinan nodded, regretting not having asked for more mutant black stingers. Han Sen had dozens of them and all he got was 2. But even so, it had been a great trip, much better than his own gain in Dark Swamp. Use the iron-feathered bird to drive the hornets away one more time and I will go get the body of the queen, said Han Sr. Lu Weinan quickly nodded, and Han Sen retrieved the 2 parts of the queen hornet. Lu enviously watched Han Sen putting the body away. Not knowing if the queen hornet was sacred. Blood, he was still coveting it. Han Sen quickly prepared the queen hornet's meat, took out the poisonous and inedible parts and made a pot of broth. Eating it up, Han Sen heard the voice 4 times. Sacred. Blood black stinger meat eaten. 1 sacred geno point gained. Sacred. Blood black stinger meat eaten. 1 sacred geno point gained. The queen black stinger had contributed 4 more sacred geno points. This is the end of our collaboration. You take care. Han Sen took his own mutant black stingers and got up to leave. These days he ate a lot of mutant black stingers and now had 47 mutant geno points. With 4 more sacred geno points from the queen, his sacred geno points were now 29. It had been a fruitful trip and now he needed to prepare the dead mutant black stingers he had and trade them for cash. Brother, can we continue to collaborate? I'll follow your lead. No question asked. Lu Weinan quickly got up and said. He had tasted sweetness from this collaboration and trusted Han Sen as well. He would never suffer losses from working with such a person. Looking at Lu Weinan, Han Sen pondered and said, I do not have much time to hunt together. If I'm recruiting people to join me, I will tie a piece of cloth with my name on it to the crooked tree on the west side of Steel Armor Shelter. If you are interested in participating, just go to Zephyr Valley and wait for me. Brother, you have not told me what your name is. Lu Weinan quickly asked. Go back and go on the Skynet. You will find out. Han Sen smiled, took his own package and flew away. Chapter 73. Marshall Ring. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translator. Nyo.bo Studio Editor. Nyo.bo Studio. Han Sen returned to Steel Armor Shelter, expecting trouble from Qin Xian as he had disappeared for so many days. However, he did not see Qin Xian at all. Not just Qin Xian, there was almost no one on the streets. The entire Steel Armor Shelter seemed empty. Finally seeing a man hurrying through the street, Han Sen quickly stepped forward and asked, Friend, what's happening? Where is everyone? It's you, ass freak. The man recognized Han Sen at first glance. Han Sen rubbed his own nose. Friend, can you tell me where everyone went? The man was very easy-going. He smiled and said to Han Sen, where can they go? To the martial ring, of course. This year's martial arts contest has already begun. People are talking about it in God's sanctuary and on all the planets in the Alliance. You don't know about it? Ahem, I have been sick recently and almost missed such a great event. Can I still register now? Han Sen asked. Ha, you must be hiding from Son of Heaven, the man smiled. Hurry. You can still make it. Thanks so much for the information. Han Sen thanked the man and trotted back to his own room. Putting away the package full of mutant black stingers, he hurried to the martial ring in the shelter. There was no doubt that the martial ring was the most magnificent building in the shelter. It looked like the Colosseum in Rome and could accommodate at least 100,000 audience. What was different from the Colosseum was that it was built with metal, which made it look like a steel monster. Han Sen ran to a gate of the martial ring. There was a gate every 60 feet around the round martial ring, and each one of them could be used to access the ring. Now, almost everyone in steel armor shelter was already in the martial ring. Han Sen picked a gate at random and placed his palm on the metal gate, where a string of numbers suddenly appeared. 88888. Han Sen was surprised and then realized this must be his code, as he should be the 88,888th person to enter the martial ring. The martial arts contest was also arranged according to these codes. Only those entering the martial ring for the first time would be assigned this number. So the next time he came in, there wouldn't be a second number. As the metal gate opened, Han Sen went through a path that felt like a tunnel. When he came out, he was in a venue larger than where the Olympics were hosted. The stands were full of people. Above the ring floated a huge crystal stele full of groups of codes. There were 100 codes in each group, which meant these 100 people were arranged in the same match. Han Sen had learned at school that the martial arts contest in each shelter operated automatically and humans couldn't interfere in it. The preliminary round was conducted in groups of 100 people, and only the last one who stayed on stage was qualified to go to the next round. This was indeed a strict selection. Since so many people had registered, the match had only come to group 50-something on the third day of the preliminary round, so Han Sen probably wouldn't have to do anything until tomorrow. Han Sen looked around, searching for Qin Xian and others. Before he could find Qin Xian, he ran into Son of Heaven's gang. Don't let me see you in my group. Or you will be dead. Luo Tianyang stared at Han Sen coldly. The last time they met, he was frightened by Han Sen, which was a disgrace to him. Son of Heaven also looked at Han Sen gloomily. Although he did not say it, Han Sen knew from his look that he would try to kill Han Sen at all costs if they were in the same match. I'm afraid I have to let you down. I do not intend to participate in the martial arts contest, Han Sen shrugged and said. Han Sen will certainly participate, but in Dollar's name, so that he could show his real strength. You are unworthy to be called a man. Shame on you. Luo Tianyang said contemptuously, setting the whole gang in an uproar. Son of Heaven ignored Han Sen and walked past him. While he was walking, he smiled and said, Qin Xian, you have improved again. It seems that this year you will still be the champion. You are flattering me. Don't forget that Dollar is also in steel armor shelter, Qin Xian said casually. Han Sen turned and saw Qin Xian, Yang Monli and other major members of the steel armor gang. Yang Monli was frowning at him. After talking to Qin Xian, Son of Heaven led his gang away. Qin Xian gave Han Sen a look, while Yang Manli said coldly, originally I thought you were just timid, but I did not expect you to be such a coward. You don't have a man's dignity and backbone. After she finished, Yang Manli went away with Qin Xian without looking back. When Lu Hongtao passed by Han Sen, he patted Han Sen on the shoulder and smiled, Han Sen, you did the right thing. A man can take temporary setbacks. Step back to enjoy a better view, right? There is no need risking your life. But anyone could see Lu Hongtao's disdain and contempt. It was all written in his face. Other members of Steel Armor Gang were also somewhat disgusted by Han's senator. Those who were able to enter the corps of Steel Armor Gang were either military school students or recently enlisted soldiers. They certainly despised such cowardice. Han Sen did not explain anything. Everyone thought he didn't want to participate because he was afraid of Luo Tianyang, which worked in his favor. No one would then question why he did not participate or why he wasn't there when Dollar appeared. I do not care how others see me. The most important thing is that my family and I can have a stable life, Han Sen thought to himself. Starry Group was so powerful that he didn't have the resources to counter them at the moment. If Son of Heaven knew he was Dollar now and tried to harm him in the alliance, even he wasn't afraid, what would happen to his mother and sister? Do Vi Ko, I need to be more powerful. Han Sen came out of the martial ring, looking down. There was no point of staying as it wouldn't be his turn today anyway. After he teleported to the teleport station on planet Roka, Qin Xian stopped him there and called him to her office. You are afraid of Son of Heaven. Qin Xian stared at him, her eyes were like daggers that could pierce his thoughts. Yes. Han Sen nodded, he had to be afraid. Hearing Han Sen's answer, Qin Xian didn't show disappointment but continued to ask, because of your family. Chapter 74. S.Class St. Hall License. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translator. Nyo.bo Studio Editor. Nyo.bo Studio. Surprised, Han Sen looked to Qin Xian. She smiled and said, listen to me, go apply to Blackhawk. If you could be admitted, I guarantee that Son of Heaven would not dare to touch your family. How can you guarantee that? Han Sen stared at her. Every time we fought, I recorded and observed your combat data. I could tell you for sure that you have the talent to be a great sniper or archer. Your timing and prediction of your opponent are outstanding, Qin Xian said. Han Sen did not speak. These words of praise were not what he wanted to hear. In the army, in addition to being the station master, I am also responsible for organizing a special squad. I think you are someone I need. As long as you join the squad, your family can get protection from the military. I can tell you for certain that if you become a member of the squad, Son of Heaven cannot use any unlawful means to hurt your family, said Qin Xian. However, the prerequisite is that you have to be admitted to Blackhawk. Only then would I be able to nominate you to join the squad. Han Sen did not answer Qin Xian immediately, but pondered for a moment. He looked at her and asked, is it possible for you to tell me the nature of this squad? No. Qin Xian answered without the slightest hesitation. Give me a little time. I need to think about it, Han Sen said. Sure, I still have time. Think about it. Qin Xian smiled and seemed very confident. Han Sen left the teleport station, returned home and rested for a day. He went back to God's sanctuary the next afternoon. Han Sen deliberately circled around Steel Armor Shelter before he put on his sacred blood armor and went in the shelter, attracting a lot of people's attention. Wow, that's Dollar himself. Ha, Dollar made his appearance. Dollar, my angel, is here. Among all the people in First God's sanctuary, only Dollar is my idol. The whole Steel Armor Shelter became a hit. Although everyone knew Dollar was there, they were still pleasantly surprised to see Dollar making his appearance. Han Sen did not speak, but walked toward the martial hall. Soon, behind him gathered a lot of people. Some that had already participated in the contest returned to the martial hall following Han's senator. They all wanted to see Dollar fighting in person. The preliminary round was almost finished and there were just a few people on the stands. However, the martial hall became full again soon after Han Sen had arrived. Han Sen checked the martial steel and there were two more groups before him. He then found a front seat to sit down. It didn't take long for Son of Heaven, Fist Guy and Qin Xian to arrive. Watching Han Sen closely, Son of Heaven would have killed him if they were alone. Dollar, can we talk? Qin Xian approached Han Sen and asked. Bedo dem, what is it? Han Sen replied in a hoarse voice. I want to invite you to join Steel Armor Gang and you can put forward any condition. Qin Xian said. Yang Monli said on the side, if you are willing to join Bullseye, I'll concede the position of team leader to you. You would make such a perfect archer. Sorry, I am not interested in joining Steel Armor Gang or being an archer, replied Han Sr. Dollar, I think we should be talking about nothing but business. If you had beast souls or meat of mutant or sacred blood creatures, I would gladly pay for them. For example, the beast soul of the Bloody Slayer, Fist Guy also approached Han Sr. I do have some mutant creature meat to sell, Han Sen said to Fist Guy. Fist Guy's eyes lit up, what creatures? How much? Some mutant hornet. The meat was all cleaned up. There are 20 to 30 hornets. Han Sen said casually, but people surrounding him were shocked. 20 to 30. You did not destroy an entire mutant hornet nest, did you? Where did you find them? Fist Guy asked hurriedly. Don't you mind where I got them? Just tell me if you are interested, said Han Sr. Yes, of course I'm interested. If you really have them, give me a quote and I'll take them all. Fist Guy quickly said. Fist Guy, what do you mean by taking them all? You think Qin Xian and I are dead? Son of Heaven scowled and said to Han Sen, 1,000,000 each. I'll buy however many you have. 1,000,000. Son of Heaven, don't look down on others. I'll bid 1.2 million each, cried Fist Guy. Son of Heaven gave Fist Guy a stare, 1.5 million. Do you think you could keep up with me? Being rich does not mean you'd be willing to bid 1.6 million, replied Fist Guy, not to be outdone. Don't bid yet. I don't intend to sell these separately, nor will I trade them for money, Han Sen said. Name your price. Although Son of Heaven wanted to kill Han Sen right now, seeing a large amount of mutant creature meat of rare hornets, he would not let others beat him to it. I want to exchange these mutant creatures for an S.class license for St. Hall, Han Sen said quietly. Hearing Han Sen's words, both Son of Heaven and Fist Guy looked reluctant. St. Hall was a research institution of martial arts. Most of the popular hyper-geno arts were developed by St. Hall. St. Hall also sold some advanced hyper-geno arts, but there were restrictions on the purchase, especially for the most advanced S.class hyper-geno arts. Ordinary people were not eligible to purchase even if they had money. Han Sen wanted to buy an advanced hyper-geno art for his mother and sister to practice, as he didn't dare to show jade skin to anyone before he knew where this hyper-geno art came from. Your price is too high. I'll buy all your mutant creatures at 2 million each. Plus I will let go of our previous grievances, said Son of Heaven, staring at Han Sr. Sorry, I want nothing but the S.class license for St. Hall. You can think about it. Han Sen rose and walked onto the stage. It was his group's turn. Watching Han Sen coming, others in the group felt bitter, as they knew it was impossible for them to pass the preliminary round now that Dollar was here. Chapter 75. 1 in 100. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translator. Nyo.bo Studio Editor. Nyo.bo Studio, do not be afraid, Dollar is on his own and we can join forces to get rid of him first, a young man geared up and said. Exactly, let's get rid of the little angel first. Someone looked at Han Sen greedily, as if he were looking at a naked woman. Ha, Dollar. I am a big fan, so I'll try to be gentle with you. Dollar, do not run, take my punch. Suddenly nearly 100 people on the stage all threw themselves at Han Sen while yelling frantically. #T. What the heck? Shouldn't my fans be protecting me rather than beating me up, thought Han Sen bitterly. Although these people looked menacing, they weren't using any weapon. No one was trying to get involved in a desperate fight with Han Sr. Basically, the stronger persons had all registered relatively early. Those who had waited until this time to register were most likely relatively weak or new to God's sanctuary. Han Sen did not use any weapon either. Seeing the first person's fist almost in his face, Han Sen moved slightly and dodged the blow. Using his hand as a knife, Han Sen attacked back with Blade Storm. The man did not have time to react before he was cut on the back of his neck and fell directly to the ground. Han Sen moved like the wind, flashing his hand knife. He could almost always get rid of an opponent with just one blow. Wherever he went people were thrown off their feet and it was like the scene after a tornado. The best thing about learning Ghost Haunt was that Han Sen now knew the various aspects of the human body very well. Although he didn't use Ghost Haunt, he was still able to use Blade Storm appropriately so that no one got seriously hurt when they were defeated. Watching nearly 100 opponents knocked out by Han Sen, many smiled and chose to quit after they got back on their feet. Dollar is out of this world. Dollar, my angel, you are so handsome. I want to bear your children, Dollar. On the stands, the audience was roaring in excitement. When the last opponent got off the stage, Han Sen was pleased with himself while waving at the audience. He thought, it seems I also have the potential of being a star. Should I say, give me 10 more, now? Never mind, what's 10 to me? I've already defeated 100. Han Sen automatically got into the next round. Just when he walked out of the martial hall, he saw a few young girls running to him, offering him a pen. They asked in slightly trembling voices, Dollar, can we have your signature? Han Sen paused as he didn't expect this. Fortunately, it took him only a second before he took the pen and said yes. But the next second, Han Sen was embarrassed. These little girls only gave him a pen, but did not give him any kind of paper. Where should he sign? Where do I sign? Han Sen asked in a hoarse voice. Dollar, can you please sign here? A plump girl stuck out her breasts, stretching out her blouse. Han Sen was just a young man, and his nose almost bled from the view. Practicing jade skin secretly, he calmed himself down and signed Dollar on the girl's tight outfit. Dollar. Dollar. Sign here. More and more girls squeezed over, scrambling. Some even stuck out their butts for him to sign. After signing for a few, Han Sen turned around and saw himself surrounded by a crowd. A man nearly 6 feet tall raised an arm and flexed his muscles at Han Sen, crying in a muffled voice, Dollar, sign here please. Han Sen finally got out of the martial hall, and was surprised to see Son of Heaven, Fist Guy and Qin Xian waiting for him there. Dollar, other than the license to purchase at S.Class section, would you consider other options? I can trade mutant beast souls and some money with you, Fist Guy said. Sorry, I won't consider anything else. Han Sen said. Son of Heaven stood aside and did not speak. Although he had what Han Sen wanted, he was not willing to trade it for mutant creature meat. If it was sacred blood creature, it might be different. Dollar, if you have 30 mutant creatures, I will make the deal with you. How do you like to proceed? Asked Qin Xian. If you trust me, you can first transfer to me the license and I will send the goods to you later. If not, we could schedule a time privately to trade in person, replied Han Sr. Okay. Let's schedule a time then. I need some time to get you the S.Class purchase license, Qin Xian said. Great, Han Sen nodded. Then let's talk about it on our way back. Qin Xian was thoughtful to ask her gang clear the path for Han Sr. After making the appointment with Qin Xian, Han Sen was already outside Steel Armor Shelter. He thanked Qin Xian, summoned the wings to fly into the mountains and soon disappeared. Han Sen did not doubt Qin Xian's ability to come up with an S.Class license. After all, St. Hall was semi-military. With her profound military background, it should be easy for her to get a license. After walking around in the mountains for a while, Han Sen used his own identity to go back in the shelter. He went back to his room and repackaged the meat of 30 mutant black stingers in a bag, ready to trade with Qin Xian tomorrow. The rest of the black stinger meat was dried by Han Senator. He did not plan to sell it as he will keep it for Meowth. The transaction was very smooth. Han Sen got the S.Class license and teleported out of God's sanctuary. He wanted to buy an advanced hyper-geno art for his mother and sister to practice. Back home, Han Sen logged in on the Skynet and entered the site of St. Hall. Using the S.Class license, Han Sen entered the official online community of St. Hall, which was inaccessible to most. He then entered the most advanced section, S.Class section. There were many hyper-geno arts in the S.Class section. Although their content couldn't be browsed, there was a detailed description of each. Han Sen carefully read the descriptions. Each license could only be used to purchase one hyper-geno art, so he had to think carefully. Mutant black stingers could only be sold this once, as the value would decrease if there were too many on the market. Even if Han Sen hunted more mutant black stingers, no one would be willing to use an S.Class license to trade for them again. Chapter 76. Holy Angel. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translator. Nyo.bo Studio Editor. Nyo.bo Studio. Just by reading the descriptions, Han Sen was already feeling excited. Except for the ones that had high prerequisites and could only be practiced by those with Evolver or higher status, Han Sen wanted every hyper-geno art listed in there. Unfortunately, one license could only be used to purchase one hyper-geno art. Han Sen wanted to choose one that laid the foundation for better fitness for his sister. With such a hyper-geno art, Han Yen wouldn't be inferior to those posh school students. She would even be better than them, because even posh schools didn't offer such advanced hyper-geno arts to students. Finally, Han Sen carefully selected and bought a hyper-geno art named Holy Angel. According to its description, this hyper-geno art would help improve all types of genes and had been tested for a long time. Its practice was smooth and didn't involve much risk, so it's excellent for laying the foundation. Many who had practiced it had seen great effects. This hyper-geno art fulfilled all the requirements of Han Senator. It was easy to practice and had low risk. There were many who had practiced it too. So even if people noticed that his mother and sister were practicing Holy Angel, they wouldn't be surprised. Han Sen downloaded the tutorial of Holy Angel and checked it out. He was surprised to see that this S.Class hyper-geno art was still not as good as his jade skin. Who was that Shui Longyan? How come he had such an outstanding hyper-geno art? Han Sen felt glad that he didn't let anyone see jade skin. Holy Angel and jade skin were similar, so that there was no need for Han Sen to practice Holy Angel as well. If someone asked him which hyper-geno art he was practicing, he could just answer Holy Angel, which was another reason why he had bought it. It would very hard for one to tell jade skin from Holy Angel indeed. Han Sen put away the tutorial of Holy Angel and went to St. Paul to pick Han Yen up. He wanted her to come home to practice Holy Angel, so she would have to stop living on campus for a while. Han Yan's teacher was a 20.7-year-old woman in a professional suit. Under her knee-length skirt the flesh-colored stockings really showed off her long legs. She had her hair pulled back and was wearing a pair of wire-rimmed glasses. Although she looked demure and full of mature women's charm, Han Sen knew well that she was definitely already in Second God Sanctuary, which was the minimum standard for teachers at St. Paul. You are Han Yan's brother. Chu Wanga slightly frowned at Han Sr. Yes, Ms. Chu, I want you to give Yen a few days off, Han Sen said. Chu Wanga was displeased and said with some disgust, where are your parents? Why haven't they come? They are very busy. I have come of age and can be considered one of Yan's guardians. You could tell me if you have something to say, Han Sen said. Chu Wanga said bluntly, what do your parents take education for? Do they think everything will simply work out if they spend the money and send their daughter to an expensive school? The school has started for quite a while now, yet your parents haven't been here or asked about her study once. Do they know what Han Yen needs? I'm so sorry, Ms. Chu. We have a lot going on in the family. It's our fault. Did anything happen to Yen? Han Sen asked worriedly. Shaking her head, Chu Wangya said with some bitterness, Han Yen is fine. She is a talented girl and would do so much better if she could use advanced nutrient solutions and care. Now, she's only using an ordinary nutrient solution package and does not have a physician assigned to her, which has affected her grades. Since your parents have sent her to St. Paul, are they going to allow this to happen just to save some money? The families that could afford tuition of St. Paul must have tens or hundreds of millions in their accounts. Chu Wangya didn't realize that Han Sen's family might be short of money. Han Sen knew what she was saying. Nutrient solutions couldn't improve one's genes like the meat of creatures in God's sanctuary did, but it could offer all the nutrients needed by the human body. In this sense, it could also improve one's fitness, though not as greatly as the meat would. The more advanced the nutrient solution was, the more benefits it could bring to one's study and body. Han Sen had used some when he was a kid, but as his family went down, he had to stop. A physician was someone responsible for conditioning a student's body. If there was any accident in the process of studying, the physician would timely condition the student's body and use scientific methods to keep the student always at his or her best. Both purchasing nutrient solutions and hiring a physician would cost a lot of money. The several million Han Sen gave to Luo Sulan were just enough to send Han Yen to St. Paul, so the nutrient solution package they bought for her was the cheapest type, which only cost 100,000 per month. Hence the result was not ideal. The physician and conditioning equipment Han Yen had been using were shared ones at school. Ms. Chu, you are right. We will buy Han Yen the premium nutrient solution package next month and please assign a good physician to her as well, Han Sen said. Fairly satisfied with Han Sen's reply, she nodded and said, that's more like it. Although it costs more, Yen is an outstanding girl, so it would be a waste if you don't cultivate her well. Now what she uses is worse than all her classmates, but she still has good grades, which goes to prove her talent. Chu Wangya paused and said, if possible, think of a way to buy her an advanced hyper-geno art. The one provided here is too basic, so the result might not be limited. Okay, Ms. Chu, I will think of a way. Han Sen now started to believe that Chu Wangya did think Han Yen was special. Encouraging Yen to practice advanced hyper-geno art wouldn't do the teacher any good, while she could probably earn a referral fee from recommending nutrient solutions and physicians. The most expensive nutrient solution package cost $1 million per month, a senior physician plus professional equipment would cost a few $100,000 per month. Han Sen had no money before, but now he could earn a lot. Of course he would want the best for his sister. Chu Wangya put away her things and rose to feet, let's go. Yen should be out of class soon. Let's pick her up and I'll give you a ride home. Han Sen said no need, but Chu Wangya clearly saw him as a teenager. Han Yen was ecstatic to see Han Sen, but she remembered to greet her teacher politely before she ran into her brother's arms. Holding Han Yen in his arms, Han Sen followed Chu Wangya out of the school. At the school gate, he saw two familiar persons waving at them. Chapter 77. Tang Zhenliu, you are listening at novelfull.audio. Translator. Nyo.bo Studio Editor. Nyo.bo Studio. One of the familiar faces was Fong Jingqi. Han Sen had never seen him again since playing red hands with him and was surprised to see him here today. As for the other person, Han Sen felt like having seen him somewhere, but the guy was in a high-collar windbreaker, a hat and a pair of oversized sunglasses, which made it difficult for Han Sen to tell who he was. The man wearing sunglasses was waving at them, but Han Sen soon found out that the man was not waving at him, but at Chu Wangya. As soon as Han Sen and Chu Wangya were out of the school gate, Fong Jingqi and his friend came over. The man wearing sunglasses started to talk to Chu Wanger immediately. They seemed by know each other well. Fang Jingshi was reluctant to smile at Han Sr. Han Sen, I did not expect to meet you here. Who is this beautiful little girl? This is my sister Han Yen, I came to pick her up. I'll let you guys talk, Han Sen said. You did not come in an aircraft. Let me give you a ride, said Chu Wanga when she saw Han Sen leaving for Maglev Station with Han Yen in his arms. The man in sunglasses said reluctantly, since you all know each other, let's go to dinner together. I will not bother you. I have some errands to do, so I'll go back first. Ms. Chu, we will just use the train, Han Sen said. No way. Your parents are outrageous. Chu Wanga did not see Han Sen as an adult. Indeed, he was just about 17 and was young and comely, which made him look more like a teenager than a man. You and Yen can come with us to eat first, and I will give you a ride home after. As a teacher, Chu Wanga was an authority figure, not taking no for an answer. Han Sen, since Ms. Chu has put it this way, just join us for dinner. We are all friends, right? Fang Jingqi smiled and advised. It seemed that he suddenly had an idea. In fact, Han Sen was not going to refuse as Chu Wanga had already picked Yen up and walked toward her aircraft. The man in sunglasses seemed a bit unhappy, but he did not dare to show it in front of Chu. Han Sen and Han Yen were on Chu's aircraft, while the man in sunglasses was on Fang's aircraft. Just when he sat down, the man in sunglasses asked Fang Jingqi, who is that kid? Why did Wanga care about him so much? That kid is a boy toy liked by many women. Probably Wanga is into him as well, Fang Jingqi said with a straight face. Jingqi, Roka is basically your planet. You are just going to watch Wanga falling into his lap, said the man in sunglasses. Thinking about Han Sen's look, he agreed that he had nicer skin than many girls and believed what Fang Jingqi told him. In fact, Han Sen just had nice skin because he was practicing jade skin. What can I do about it? They are both consensual adults, so I can't really beat the kid up for that. I am afraid that Wanga wouldn't let me either, Fang Jingqi shrugged and said. You are so weak, man. Just wait and see how I scare him off without really hurting him, the man in sunglasses curled his lip and said. He took his sunglasses off and it chanced that he was Tang Junliu, the 5th among the 10 chosen last year. Great, I'll see how you do it, Fang Jingqi said with suspicious sparkles in his eyes. He thought, brat, you've given me a lot of troubles these days. I'll let you suffer a bit to ease my anger. Han Sen is a formidable opponent and I'll see how you are scared off by him. Since Fang Jingqi suffered in Han Sen's hand last time, he had been afraid of Han Senator this time, however, he could use Han Sen to make Tang Junliu suffer. Tang Junliu was quite something, but Fang Jingqi could still make correct predictions about him. However, he really lost his confidence when playing red hands with Han Sen. If Tang Junliu and Han Sen were in a fight, Fang Jingqi did not think that Han Sen would win. But if it was just games played at dinner table, Fang Jingqi believed Tang Junliu would be miserable. Fang Jingqi also wanted to see Tang Junliu completely defeated by Han Sen, so that Tang wouldn't brag about himself all day, as if everyone should worship him because he was the chosen. The place they were heading to was a club exclusive to the distinguished and aristocrats. Han Sen and Yen weren't qualified to enter, but since the rest of the party were all VIPs there, they could be the plus ones. Inside the private room, Tang Junliu took off his sunglasses and hat, smiled and reached out a hand to Han Sr., haven't introduced myself. My name is Tang Junliu. Tang thought to himself while smiling, Tang Junliu the star is here. You must be stunned by my name. It would be great if you and your sister happen to be my fans and ask for my signature. My name is Han Sr., Han Sen shook his hand and said, unimpressed. He did recognize Tang Junliu, but he wasn't really interested in stars. He was always busy making a living, and had no time to gather information about the stars. That was why he wasn't star-struck at all. Tang Junlio felt at loss. Even if Han Sen wasn't a fan, he should still have a bigger reaction than that. But he acted as if he had just seen a passer-by. Is he an alien? He does not know me. Me, Tang Junlio. Tang wanted to grab Han Sen and tell the kid his name again. The only reason he wasn't doing it was Chu Wanga, who was sitting at the table. Fong Jingqi almost laughed out loud. He naturally knew what Tang was thinking. Soon the waiter brought them a variety of food and drinks that looked expensive. Han Sen and Han Yen had never had any of these before. Since it was someone else's treat, Han Sen ate without manners and was putting nice food into Yan's plate from time to time. Yen did not engorge like her brother did, but also enjoyed the food quite a lot. Chu Wanga was displeased with Han Sen's rudeness, but liked Han Yen more and more. Fortunately, Han Yen was sent to St. Paul and made my student. Or such a good girl as her would be ruined by her family. Chu Wanga was secretly determined to teach Yen well and keep her away from her brother. Chapter 78. Rock. Paper. Scissors. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translator. Nyo I.bo Studio Editor. Nyo I.bo Studio. Drinking without a drinking game is always a little boring. How about we play a little game? It only took a short while before Tang Junlio suggested a game. Drinking game. We have a kid here. Chu Wanga rolled her eyes at Tang. Tang winked at Fong Jingqi and the latter smiled and said, Wanga, no worries. Nothing over the line. We are kid-friendly here. Fong Jingqi turned to ask Tang, how about red hands? When Fong Jingqi said these words, Han Sen was slightly startled. He thought that Fong was trying to set him up, but in fact, it seemed that he was setting Tang Junlio up. Tang frowned. Red hands is too easy to play and not good for drinking. Let's play, pouring the wine. Pouring the wine, suggested by Tang Junlio, was a game where two players sat across a table with a cup of wine and a plate on it. The two would play rock. Paper. Scissors first and the winner should grab the wine and pour it at the loser's face. The loser needed to grab the plate and block the wine with it. Is this game appropriate? Fong Jingqi only knew Han Sen was good at red hands but wasn't sure if he'd be good at this game. Well, you three play. I'll take Yen to the gym. Chu Wanga was afraid that this would be a bad influence on the little girl and led her away. With the ladies gone, Tang felt more at ease and challenged Han Sen, we are all men here so don't be afraid of losing face. Do you dare to play or not? Of course, but a game's no fun without a bet, Han Sen said. Hearing Han Sen's reply, Fong Jingqi was thrilled. He thought to himself, it seems Han Sen is confident. Tang, you are going to make a fool of yourself. I will record how miserable you are and show it to you if you dare to brag about yourself again. Tang rejoiced over Han Sen's reply as well. He thought, fortunately this kid does not know who I am, or he wouldn't even dare to play with me, let alone to suggest a bet. What's the stake? Tang Junlio pretended to be reserved. 100,000 per round. Han Sen was just concerned about the money to pay for Yan's nutrition solutions and physician, more than 1 million per month was simply beyond an average household's means. He didn't even have the number for the first month in his account and had to sell mutant creature meat back in God's sanctuary to come up with it. But all he had left was mutant black stingers, and he didn't really want to sell more after the 30 he sold to Qin Xian. If the same creature appeared too often, its value would drop and people might think it was easy to hunt that creature. So, Han Sen did not intend to sell mutant black stingers anymore unless he had to. Good, I really like playing with a straightforward guy like you. 100,000 per round it is. Tang was overjoyed inwardly. He was just thinking it wouldn't be satisfactory enough just to pour wine on Han Sen's face and it chanced that the kid had offered money as well. You will have to wait 10,000 years before you could win money from me. I am the king of rock. Paper. Scissors and I can win 9 of 10 rounds. I will wait to see you cry. Tang wanted to give Han Sen a banner for being a great citizen. He was just so nice to offer Tang both his face and wallet. The three soon decided on the rules. To win rock, paper, scissors didn't count as winning the round. A winner must also successfully pour the wine on the opponent's face. You guys can start. I'm terrible at rock, paper, scissors, so I'll first observe. When they were deciding which two were to play first, Fong threw his hands up. He had no intention to play and just wanted to record the game. Alright, you can play when we get tired. Tang was pleased by Fong Jingqi's quitting as it gave him more time to kick Han Sen's ass. Tang laid the plate and a glass of wine on the table. The glass was an ordinary one and could hold about 5 ounces of wine. Shall we use water instead? Proposed Han Senator. He was afraid that Tang would be soaked in wine and it wouldn't be safe if Tang caught on fire. Water is boring. Wine it is. Tang wouldn't miss an opportunity to humiliate Han Sen more. Han Sen did not speak. Tang Zhenliu said to Fong Jingqi. Fong, you call it so that it is fair. I am afraid someone may challenge the result otherwise. Okay. Fong Jingqi agreed, stood between the two, cleared his throat and called, rock. Paper. Scissors. When Fong Jingqi said, scissors, Han Sen and Tang Zhenliu almost reached out their hand at the same time. Han Sen used scissors, while Tang used rock. Excited that he had won, Tang grabbed the glass of wine and poured it at Han Sr. Unfortunately, Han Sen had put up the plate with some panic and blocked the wine. Could Han Sen actually be bad at this game? Fong Jingqi hesitated as he did not expect Han Sen to lose. Looking at Han Sen's smiling eyes, Fong could not help but wince. No, Han Sen is ruthless. He is just trying to get more from Tang. Having understood what was going on, Fong Jingqi grinned and thought, Tang, you are doomed tonight. I will try to record everything. Han Sen was of course setting Tang up, since he had asked for it himself anyway. And Tang was rich enough as well. Others might not be able to come up with the stake, but since Tang could earn more than 10 million with one performance match, he probably would feel nothing from losing a few million. The game itself was a test of reflexes and timing. Both rock, paper, scissors and fetching the object one should choose was highly demanding for one's reflexes. The one who could respond fast had a great advantage in the game. However, what was more important was the ability to predict the opponent's next move, which was the essence of rock, paper, scissors. Chapter 79. 1. When you are listening at novelfull.audio. Translator. Nyo.bo Studio Editor. Nyo.bo Studio. Han Sen was no master at rock, paper, scissors, but he had made an effort to improve his ability to make more accurate predictions. It wasn't for games, but for knowing in advance a creature's habits and movements. For an archer, it was undoubtedly a very important ability. Almost anyone could shoot at a target. And there were numerous people who could hit the bullseye from 150 feet away. However, creatures wouldn't stand still all the time, so it was important to be able to predict their movements. To grasp the fleeting opportunity, prejudge the enemy's action, and shoot to kill were Han Sen's specialties. Or he wouldn't have chosen archery to practice. When he first entered God's sanctuary, he didn't have a nice bow and arrows, so he practiced sneak attacks, which had even higher demands for one's pre-judgment and reflexes. A little mistake would leave him unable to kill a creature with one blow, which would result in the most terrible counterattack. After his first month in God's sanctuary, Han Sen never missed in a single attack, which proved his outstanding skills of pre-judgment and timing. Now with so many Geno points gained, Han Sen had improved greatly in his reflexes as well. It would be difficult for one to win against him in a game like this one. Rock, paper, scissors. The moment when Fong Jingqi said, scissors, Han Sen and Fong Jingqi reached their hands out again. Han Sen had struck with scissors, while Fong went with paper. Tang didn't expect to lose, and when it hit him that he should grab the plate, his face was covered in wine and some even got into his nostrils, leaving a burning sensation. Tang lost a point. Fong Jingqi wrote it down on a notepad seriously. Tang of course didn't take the loss well. After wiping his face with a towel, he stared at Han Sen and said, "Again." Han Sen was certainly happy to oblige. The two were at it again. Claiming to be the king of rock, paper, scissors, Tang won less than 40% of the rounds, in which Han Sen was able to block the wine he poured every single time. In the rounds where Tang lost rock, paper, scissors, Han Sen was faster than him and got him every time, leaving Tang soaked in wine. In the beginning, Tang would wipe it away, but later he was so focused on beating his opponent that he would just let it be. No. Let's play finger guessing instead. It's easy to cheat in rock, paper, scissors. Tang Junliu could not help but yell after losing 7, and then 8, rounds in a row. Okay, but please tell me the rules, as I've never played finger guessing before, Han Sen said. The rules are simple. Tang explained the rules. Finger guessing was the same type of game as rock, paper, scissors, but in finger guessing, the two players' hands had to be placed in front of their body at all times, so the other party could see more clearly and there was less a chance of cheating and changing one's mind. Han Sen had not played this one before, so he lost the first 4 rounds of finger guessing, but Tang wasn't really cheered by this fact as he was still unable to get any wine on Han Sen's face. After 4 rounds, Han Sen had mastered the essence of finger guessing and his excellent skills in pre-judgment and quick reflexes gave him the upper hand again. Wine constantly hit Tang's face, which made him even more eager to win. In a while, he was so wet that it was as if he had just climbed out of a wine bucket. Even his trousers were dripping with wine. Tang thought to himself, how could this be? I should be invincible. Something must be wrong. Fong Jingqi saw that Tang was miserable and tried to stop him twice. But Tang was completely amok, and all he wanted was to get his money back. I need revenge. I have to soak him in wine as well. No, I will definitely win the next rounds. 1 win, I need 1 win at least. Let me have 1 win. Just 1 and then I'll stop. Tang's expectation shrunk lower and lower, but he didn't win a single round in the end. In the last few rounds, Tang was a mess and couldn't even win finger guessing anymore, so Han Sen was in complete control. Chu Wanga saw it was late and took Yen back to the private room. She thought Han Sen was probably miserable now, playing drinking games with Tang Junliu and Fong Jingqi. When she approached the room, she couldn't hear anything, so she was wondering if Han Sen was already dead drunk by then. Pushing the door open, she was surprised. Han Sen and Fong Jingqi were sitting at the table, drinking tea while chatting. Han Sen looked sober and clean, as if nothing had happened. However, Tang was sitting on the sofa alone, soaking wet and haggard. Chu Wanga thought Tang looked almost like an assault victim, with his eyes full of tears. Tang, what happened to you? Chu Wanga was shocked. By no means could she believe that Tang Junliu was the one getting bullied. Tang just understood what had happened. Without answering her, he fiercely threw himself at Fong Jingqi, shouting, "Damn you Jingqi, how dare you set me up?" Not quite sure what was going on, Chu Wanga saw Han Sen smiling at her. He asked, "Miss Chu, what's the price of the advanced nutrition solution packages?" Now Yen is on the package that's $100,000 per month, the effect of which is very limited. The course intensity at St. Paul would probably call for the package costing $300,000 per month. Or her grades and fitness would both suffer, Chu Wanga explained. If she were to use the top package, plus senior physician service, how much would that cost annually? Han Sen asked again. If that's the case, you can choose the school's S.level package, which includes the best of everything and costs 15 million per year. Chu Wanga regarded Han Sen curiously. Great, please get Yen the S.level package when you get a chance, said Han Sen after he saw the newly transferred $16.7 million in his account. Chapter 80. A test. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translator. Nyo.bo Studio Editor. Nyo.bo Studio. After returning home, Han Sen showed Yen the tutorial of Holy Angel and asked her to memorize it. With the holographic demonstration, it was not difficult to learn. Being intelligent, Yen memorized Holy Angel after watching just a few times. On the next day, the Geno solution compatible with Holy Angel was delivered to their home by the staff of St. Hall. Han Sen asked Yen to drink it in accordance with the instructions. Because practicing hyper-Geno arts could generate a burden on one's body and each hyper-Geno art had different effects, most hyper-Geno arts would have to be practiced along with the using of its correspondent Geno solution. An S.class hyper-Geno art usually came with 3 bottles of Geno solution, so it could be practiced by up to 3 persons. If the matching Geno solution was not used, St. Hall would be exempt from any obligations and medical bills if there was an accident during the practice. Before this, Han Sen did not know how advanced hyper-Geno arts worked, so he felt lucky that he had successfully practiced Jade Skin. Yen, this hyper-Geno art is the secret of our family. Do not let others know about it, okay? Han Sen did not even tell Yen the name, Holy Angel. Han Yen nodded seriously. Yen will not tell anyone that I practiced a hyper-Geno art my brother gave me. Good girl. If you encounter some danger and someone asks you which hyper-Geno art you are practicing, tell him you do not know and it's taught to you by your brother, Han Sen said. Yen understands, Han Yen said solemnly. Excellent. Han Sen patted Han Yen's head, feeling pity for his sister. Children who grew up in poor families were better prepared to deal with problems. Han Sen had spent some carefree years when he was a child. When Han Yen was born, however, their family had been declining, so she had never lived a good life. For this, she was more mature than her peers. Luo Sulan was in Second God Sanctuary these days and just returned home on the 4th day since Han Sen came back. Han Sen also showed Luo Sulan Holy Angel, which shocked her. Although she didn't know too much about hyper-Geno arts, she could tell that this was no ordinary stuff as the tutorial was very carefully arranged. Sen, where did this hyper-Geno art come from? Asked Luo Sulan, worried. Mom, don't worry. I bought this, Han Sen said. How is possible that you have this kind of money? She asked again. Mom, I am much stronger than before and have joined a military gang in steel armor shelter. This hyper-Geno art is just a start. We will live better in the future. Han Sen explained how he joined Qin Xian's steel armor gang, reassuring his mother. Son, you have gone far. Luo Sulan's eyes were wet from happiness. She had endured so many hardships to see this day. Mom, don't get emotional. It's a good thing. Han Sen had more than $1 million left in his account after paying for the S.level package for Yen. He gave it to his mother and said, this is what I earned in God's sanctuary recently. Mom, you can use it to pay for the daily expenses. You take it yourself. You need the money. Luo Sulan refused to take it. It's fine. I am now with a military organization and my boss is generous. There will be more in the future. Hansen was trying to prepare Luo Sulan for more good news. Sen, keep in mind that you shall never be aggressive. Don't get involved in any trouble. Luo Sulan said earnestly. Mom, I understand. You know your son. I have always been low-key, Han Sen quickly said. Good, good. As for the hyper-Geno art, you've got Yen started, right? Tell her never to show it off, in case people would be envious. Since father's accident, Han Sen's mother had changed a lot and was constantly afraid that her children would be in danger. Mom, do not worry. I have told Yen and she promised me she would never tell. No, I have to personally tell her again. Luo Sulan got up and went to find Yen. Watching Luo Sulan leaving, Han Sen felt very upset. If it were not for Dad's accident, Luo Sulan wouldn't have become so cautious and live in panic all day long. What happened? Han Sen regretted that he was so young and didn't understand anything. All he knew was that Dad had an accident. He had asked Mom and Mr. Zhang, but they were both hesitant to say anything. Han Sen knew it was not just an accident. In the stationmaster's office at the teleport station, Yang Monli placed a capsule in front of Qin Xian. "Stationmaster, you are sure you want to use this?" Yang Monli looked at Qin Xian, who had picked up the capsule. "I have to know why he is not willing to go to Blackhawk, and whether he wants to join my squad," Qin Xian said. "There are so many guys like him. Cowardly, greedy and lecherous. There is no need to win him over. I think we should make every effort to get Dollar on our side instead, who can become the best archer possible," Yang Monli said. Qin Xian just smiled. "Dollar is of course amazing, but a man like him would not give us any chance to control him. Han Sen is still very talented, and I think he can do well. But the person I need must have a clean slate and be willing to join my squad, which takes me some effort to confirm." Yang Monli wanted to say more, but Qin Xian stopped her. "Unless you can get Dollar to join our squad, Han Sen is my choice." Yang Monli did not reply, but was secretly determined to find Dollar and persuade him. Han Sen did not know what Qin Xian saw in him that she wanted him to join her squad so bad. Before he entered the teleport station, he made sure that he wasn't in Qin Xian's sight. Unfortunately, nothing could go unnoticed under her nose. Looking at Qin Xian standing in front of him with a faint smile on her face, Han Sen had to step forward. "It's been a long time since we fought. Show me your progress." Noticing Qin Xian did not mention other matters, Han Sen was secretly relieved. Han Sen was now much better, but he did not dare to show her all he got. Even if he did, she would probably still beat him. "Drink some water." Qin Xian took off her helmet and fetched 2 bottles of water. She unscrewed a bottle for herself and handed another to Han Sr. Han Sen had no suspicion and drank from the sealed bottle of water. "Han Sen, do you think I'm pretty?" Qin Xian suddenly asked. "Pretty? Of course you are." Han Sen was surprised and looked up at her, not understanding why she was asking this question. It was not her style. "Do you think my lips are prettier or my eyes?" Qin Xian asked again. Han Sen felt dizzy. He could not help but look to the mouth of Qin Xian, and gradually his sight moved up and fell on her bright eyes.